Welcome into another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan, and I'm joined by two-time NCAA champion, two-time Stanley Cup champion, 17 years in the league. Lots of those years were spent with our very own Dallas Stars. It's Craig Ludwig. Hi, my friend.
How are we doing today?
I am good. I am really, really good. You have a big ceremony on Saturday sitting up there with Mike Modano with the statue unveiling, and Craig Ludwig will be by his side, just like the defenseman that you are. Just in case anyone tries to go after Mo, you'll be there to protect him, right? Or does that happen when you retire? You're done with that?
No, it happens more when you're retired than it does when you played, actually. Because you start running with seedy people.
Hey, but doesn't that come down when the seedy people, like, isn't that, if you keep hanging with the same people, is that on you?
Well, not if they're hanging with me. It's on them, right?
Yeah. You are a good time. In the few instances that I'm allowed to hang out with you, you're a pretty good time.
Yeah, you get your 3 hours a year, don't you? 2.5 hours a year. That probably seems like 7 or 8 by the time you're done.
I get 2 charity dinners, and I get I treat you to a suite at the Rangers game to spend time with you, and that's it.
See, now you know what it's like back in the old days when people got stoned. And I don't mean smoking stoned. I mean like with rocks, stoned. That's what it feels like. You're getting pummeled while you're there.
Yes, absolutely. I sit there and take the brunt, and I don't know why I do it every year, to be honest with you. I think maybe it should just be the Craig Ludwig dinner. I think that's
it's for a good cause.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so last night some things happened, and not great, but that stuff happens. I wanted to play an interesting aspect. Joe Pavelski was put in front of the microphones after the game, Craig. Here's what he had to say, because I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a little disappointing to play with the lead and come out like that. Just sat back a little bit, didn't win enough races, one-on-one battles. So everything that made us successful the first half of the game, kind of slipped in our game a little bit. Just didn't handle a couple key moments, I guess. But for us, I think this group, this might come at a good time, as far as like, this is a great reminder of what's ahead of us. We're going to be in this situation again against good teams, playoffs, and you're up by 2, you're down by 1. I don't think there's a game can't change. You got to go out, look to win periods, create momentum, keep moving the game forward. And we didn't do a good enough job, so we'll look at a few of them, a few clips, I'm sure, and take this as a lesson, and this won't be a low point for us long. We'll be looking to right it and be better next time.
Not officially the captain, Craig, but I thought that was great of him to come out and talk about a learning lesson and take us inside the room, what he means by the quote you just heard, as far as, the learning lesson. Go back, look at a few things. It's not going to be the end for us.
Well, that's a seasoned captain for you.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows it's the important time of the year, and a good lesson. It's a good reminder. You're inside that window that you're now preparing for the playoffs. The sitting back part is being up 3-1 and not respecting your opponent. It would be baffling if you didn't respect the Florida Panthers. The things that they've done, the moves that they've made, the year that they've had, going all the way back to last year. They've been on a roll. And I think what Joe was trying to do is send a message and say you take nothing for granted. And you look at teams that go into the last 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it may be, before playoffs start. And they're not locked into but they're locked into a playoff spot, I would say. But they're not locked into a spot where they want to be, which would be number 1, I would think. But but it's just, it's more of, this is what we're going to see. And when you get to the playoffs, it's a completely different season, and you just never know what's going to happen. And there's going to be people on your team that are going to have incredible playoffs. There's going to be some people that probably have less than what you would expect from them. But probably the scarier thing is that you're going to run into people and players from your opponent that are going to have, that you probably don't expect to have the kind of playoffs or the kind of games or the kind of moments. And you have to be prepared for all of it. And I think when Joe says this is a little bit of a reminder, and it's like I said, I've said this for a long time. It's a long season, and I think the good news for Dallas and other teams is that you're not coasting into the playoffs. There's still something to play for, and it's out there every single night. And I think there's other teams that have locked up a certain position and say, hey, here's where we're going to finish. Whether it's at the top or 3-4, wherever it's going to be, this is where we're going to finish. And I think you kind of take your eye off the ball a little bit. And I think what Joe's trying to do is say, we have to prepare every single game from now until game, 83. And when 83 comes, we have to be at the top of our game, and we have to keep it there for at least 16 wins. And so it's just it's a little reminder. And I think that's why Pete DeBoer is very, I would assume he's very happy, appreciable that he has guys like Pavelski and Jamie and Sagan and, all these guys that have some notches on their belt, and they've got some years in the playoffs, and they've been through some playoffs, and you can have guys like that step up at the right time. It'd be really, you would expect that 5 games out. But what Pavelski's trying to do is say, listen, it's not a light switch. We can't lose our game.
Right.
As we head down the stretch here, we have to be on top of our game when we're heading into the playoffs.
I know it's obviously a loss and no points, but my goodness, for about 45 minutes, I thought they dominated. I brought this up on the post game last night, Craig. I thought the momentum of the game changed on the Mason Marchment roughing, going for icing penalty. That's when I thought that Florida got life because they went on the power play and ended up scoring, and that brought them back into the game.
Those are the learning moments. Those are the things when you get into the playoffs, you got to look back on times like this. They can turn on last night could be a good thing. They can get into a game in game 3, game 4 in the second or third round and say, hey, here's where we were back in, game 15 or game 18. And we were playing against a really good team. And we had a lapse in judgment at some point. And so we have to stay, you got to stay on track. And the outcome, the result is way more important than individual and personal, whether it's vendettas or whatever it is. But again, like for Marchment, that's part of his game too, right? Yeah. And it's just about getting, we're in a different time now. You don't cross the line. You don't put us in that same moment where you give, don't give anybody any life. And that's pretty much what I think Joe's trying to say.
Yeah, I think they'll look at that one. I think that they'll look at the Robertson holding behind the play. I think that was a tough penalty to take. The Tanev thing, tripping happens. And the star. Yeah, go. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was just say Tanev is just that's not that's nothing stupid. That's just he played. You got to love the way the guy plays, right? It's the reason he came here. He's 0 to 60 every shift, and he pours everything in every shift. And when you play. Yeah, I don't want to. It's not reckless; it's reckless abandon. But that's why you get players like that, and that comes with the territory. So, but again, he's been around for a long time. He's going to get into the playoffs, and the guys are going to be on their best behavior for the most part when it comes to, changing momentum and giving momentum, and not having to try to take it back with bad calls or yapping at players or the dumb things that seem to pop. Well, we can go back all the way to last year with Jamie. That was he lost his mind for a moment, right?
Yep.
And you got that cross-checking penalty and Stone and that whole thing there. And that was those are the lessons that you learned last year. Unfortunately, it was during the playoffs. It wasn't before. And so we're just gonna bring it up now, and it's not gonna happen in the playoffs.
As a 17-year NHL defenseman, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel as though since Tanev has arrived, there's a calmness now in the D-core. Would you agree with that? I just feel like his presence has changed a lot, and maybe that's because everyone goes down one.
Well, I don't know. You could use the word calmness, but I think what he does just by his play. I don't know him at all. Don't know if he's a talker in the room. He would definitely have earned it if he is. More than likely, when new players come in at the deadline, even if they were at other places, they kind of know their place. They've been around. They just kind of hang back. But I think that he raises the level of the group because of the way that he plays. I mean, the guy gives you everything he has every single shift. You just watch him try to jump into the play. I mean, he's on his horse, and he does everything fast, and he does it hard, and I think that brings the level of all your teammates to that same level. Whether it's the guy will block a shot with his face, and he'll lay down in front of any kind of play, and he'll take on whoever he needs to take on. So I don't know about the calmness, but sometimes it's it can be a good reckless play at times, but because it's all coming from a place of I'm doing everything I can to help this team win. And I think that's what you respect from a player like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of Stars fans, and you probably got this during the day where Eddie got a lot of the blame, or other goalies that you've played with, they're obviously, kind of a focal point when it comes to the game in hockey, similar to the quarterback in football. But, I contend that last night, maybe one Oettinger could stop. But, to me, there were a lot of deflections, a lot of screens. It was, he let in 4. But, flip side, Bobrovsky won them the game, I felt.
He made timely saves. The new kid comes on, gets an unbelievable pass from Jamie Benn, and that was, early on in the game. But the one on Stankoven, and so he did made some timely saves. And where he was good, I thought, was in traffic. When everything was around him. I mean, he does what a good goaltenders do is they just play big. They get down and they try to see the puck, but they play big. I mean, everything's tight, and they don't have any holes in them, and it's we know that's the important position come playoff time, and he's been. I think a couple of years ago, going into Florida, I think he was kind of, he was kind of the piñata for a while, and mainly that was probably because of the contract, making like $10 million as a goaltender and blah blah blah, and then last year he really turned it around, and I think now they know exactly what they have. So, as far as Jake goes, I didn't like the last goal. I mean, Essa was right there. I thought that he could have made a better play on that, but again, these are moments that you'd rather see that happen now than in game 10, because it's going to be in your mind a little bit more heading into the playoffs, and that one little pass that made it past you. He was in good position, and if you're not there, you don't really know exactly what happened, but that's a puck that Jake is thinking the same thing. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I said this a few weeks ago. I thought Otter, he's a good goaltender. We know that he's in the top, whatever you want to call it, the top 3, the top 5. And I just didn't think that he was playing at that level. And I think he's getting closer to it, which is exactly what you want, and be on the top of your game for a goaltender heading into the playoffs. And so, but again, it's just a way for the group to know how this team that they played against last night, they have something in mind. You can tell they've been doing it now for months, and it probably came from not accomplishing what they thought they could accomplish last year. And as the old saying goes, is you got to go through it in order to get to it, and they went through it, and they got to that point, and things they kind of got spanked last year at the end of the year and at the end of the playoffs, and I think they all remember it. And I think that's got a lot to do with the makeup of the team and saying, we're not letting this happen to us again, which is exactly where, you want Dallas to come back into the playoffs when they got knocked out last year, even though it wasn't in the finals or anything like that. But, there's another level that everybody has to play with once you get to playoff time.
It's interesting, Matt Duchene slowed down as far as the goal scoring, but it's not because he hasn't had chances. It's just not going in the net, or it's terrific saves like Bobrovsky made on him last night. And so he's getting opportunities. It's the same Matt Duchene. It's just not going in the net right now, and you see that from great players, right? Just sometimes it's just it's not your day. But once you get that one, we talked about that with Sagan last year when he had that massive drought, and I remember one deflected off of him and went in the net, and you had mentioned you're like, that's what he needs. Sometimes, as long as it goes in the net. And sure enough, we saw a massive Tyler Seguin goal streak.
Well, and you mentioned Tyler. I think he misses Tyler.
Yeah.
They were so good. They're good friends, apparently off the ice and everything too. So, the good news is that, Tyler's back skating. And I know that one of the coaches that works with the players, his son was in Phoenix this weekend. They were talking about Tyler probably was going to play this week, and he didn't. Last game, 2 games ago or whatever it was, he didn't. But again, it's not time to rush anybody back right now, especially like that. But yeah, I just think there was such great chemistry with that line. I mean, in my opinion, they've been the best Stars line all year long. And when one guy goes down, and it's easy to say when you got a good team, you just plug somebody else in there. But you could feel the the synergy between the two of them, and then the three of them. I just think that they kept getting better and better, I thought, all year long, and every time they were on the ice, they were dangerous. I just felt they were Dallas's best line, from start, till when Tyler went out. So, and again, like I said, Matt Duchene's going to get it back. I mean, we've seen this all year long with him, and I think he came here wanting to prove something. He's definitely done that, and so I just think when the band gets back together, when those three guys are back, they're going to pick up right where they left off before Tyler went out.
Once again last night we saw it. Wyatt, Johnston, Logan, Stankoven clearly looking like they belong there. But what I also love is just, I guess you'd call it, puck smart. They're just like, they know where to be. They control their man. I mean, Stankoven going into the boards last night, the fact that he can win pucks and go up against much bigger players, and Johnston has that same ability. Not a big guy, but somehow finds a way to create space and finds himself in space. I mean, you had mentioned Brett Hull had that ability as far as knowing where to be, and I just look at Johnston and Stankoven, and I know it's early, but I feel as though they have similar traits as far as just being smart on ice, and the puck seems to find them.
Well, we say that a lot about the best players in the game, right? They just seems to find them. No, they just have hockey sense, and they know where to be. And I remember a long time ago watching and reading something with Dennis Rodman about rebounding. And, he just paid attention to the board and to the rim, and he said he knew where the angle that the ball was being thrown up, where it was likely to come off. And that's where he went to. I mean, it's being a student of the game. And I think when you talk about Wyatt and Stankoven, apparently they played together. I think when they were younger, in juniors or wherever it may be. I just thought I heard hearing that. So I think they have a familiarity with each other. And, they're close to the same age. They're both living with Joe Pavelski. And, there's a lot of things that are so intelligent by the Dallas Stars and putting them together and keeping them together. And they're kind of on the same page with it. There's a dynamic duo in Edmonton too, right? Draisaitl and what's that Connor guy's name? McDavid, I think they call
yeah,
him. But
sure.
They seem to just know where each other are, and that's Holly and Adam Oates. They had that, and so I think it just comes with talking and watching video together, and just like I said, playing with each other and knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are. One thing for sure with Stankoven is, did Jamie know exactly where he was last night on that opportunity? But I'll tell you one thing he knew. He was driving to the net, and he knew that Stankoven's going to be, maybe he's only, 4'2" or tattoo from plane to plane, but I'm telling you, he plays like he's 6'3" when he's going to the net. And I think sometimes it's an advantage for those guys. You play against a big defenseman, a big, strong defenseman. If you don't have exactly the right position on a smaller guy like that has that wide skating stance, and it's like a fire hydrant. And, you can lose them, and they bounce off you. They roll off a check. And next thing you know, they've got better position. And, as soon as you try to cross check them from the back, you ride up their back and you hit them in the back of the head. Next thing you know, you got 2 minutes for cross checking. So, and he knows that. You can tell that he understands that, his game. We've talked about this, last week before, like Brendan Gallagher, he pays the price to get to the front of the net, and generally he gets rewarded. He always seems to have, some quality chances in every game that we've seen him playing.
All right, every day the Central is just craziness, and like tonight. Colorado taking on Vancouver, Winnipeg, Nashville. So 2 important tilts from a Stars perspective to keep an eye on. But do players, Craig, keep an eye on that? Do players constantly look at the standings? Do they care? Or does it just put whoever in front of us come playoff time?
You're going down the stretch, so you keep track of it. You can say, no, I don't really care. Well, you do care. Maybe during like I said, you get in the beginning of the year in the 30s and the 50s. It's really not that much. You get inside 20 games and you know where you are in the standings. And it really hasn't changed all year long with these 3 teams. I mean, Colorado, Winnipeg, and Dallas have just been bouncing around with each other all year long. And, but you definitely know, we'd rather finish here because let them other 2, beat the shit out of each other, and so we don't have to do it or be part of it. So you keep your eye on it. But at the end of the day, all you can do is win your games. There's nothing you can control until you play against that team, until you play against Colorado or Winnipeg, which I know they've got a couple games left of these guys. So those are the ones that you're going to put a little more focus in. Maybe it comes down to one of those games that's going to end up giving you that first place and playing a wild card team in the first round. But for the most part, you can't control what's happening on the other channel. You just got to take care of your business. But yeah, you keep a closer eye at this time of the year.
So Modano statue on Saturday. Will we see a Craig Ludwig statue on St. Catherine Street in Montreal?
That statue would be me. I'm going to be on St. Catherine Street in Montreal in May.
Are you?
May. Yeah, I'm going to Montreal for couple days. There's a card signing thing, so I'm going to go there, and so I'll probably walk up and down St. Catherine Street.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember the last time I made that whole trip was when we won the cup there back in '86. It was, and by car it might take you 15 minutes. At one to the other, it took 6 hours. So
wow,
it was part of the parade. But yeah, so there's good memories, driving up and down there. But yeah, it'll be nice, seeing Mo get his statue, and
yeah.
Long time coming, my opinion. So I don't know. Do they have a statue? Well, statute of limitations? Do they have a doesn't go up for 3 years, 4 years kind of deal as far as statues go? I don't know. But if there were some people that were going to have statues out there, obviously it's going to be the 2 that are going to be there, and in a week from now.
I really do think on the dais it should be like all these official chairs and people sitting, and then Craig in a lawn chair with a 6-pack underneath him, and throughout
6-pack.
Well,
6-pack.
Well, I mean, it's like an hour ceremony, Craig.
No, I got my big white 92-gallon cooler with my feet up on it.
All right.
Yeah.
So that, and then it would be awesome during each speech if you just occasionally just heard the cracking of a new cold one.
The snapping of a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not against it, so
I think it's only
I'm not sure what they're going to allow me to bring in there, but I'll be prepared. My pockets will be loaded. So have they announced and have they told you who's coming back for the ceremony as well? No, I know that there was an email, text message that went out, wanted guys to make little social media things. I think they're going to put it on, I don't know, Instagram or Ticker or whatever the hell they all got out there. That? But I saw names, but I haven't seen any emails. For some reason, I don't get a lot of emails. I think they just think I forget. They're hoping I forget about it and I don't show up. And so everything goes off smoothly. But I don't know who's all going to be back. I would expect to see some, guys that were prominent guys in our time, just as an appreciation and respect for Mo. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is there something in Modano's career when you played with him that stuck out that you can let the Spits and Suds listeners know, whether it's off the ice or on the ice?
Off the ice, there's nothing. I mean, I talk about a superstar that never got into trouble, that never put himself in any kind of an uncomfortable situation to where anybody could mention anything about him. Mo played the game and lived the game and on and off the ice the way you're supposed to. I mean, he did all the right things and always had a smile on his face. And when when he was out in public and talking to people, Always had that big smile, whether he was having a shitty day or not, you would never know it. So he's like the perfect superstar, for this sport. So nothing.
But
I'm trying to think of something bad, but I can't.
Okay.
To be totally honest with you, I know he was pissed off at one time. We were in Tampa Bay, and there's a place there called Burns Steakhouse, and Mo was buying dinner, which that doesn't happen often, but he was buying dinner, and it was at the end of the dinner. We were all kind of getting ready to get up and head out and do our thing, and I made one more pit stop at the bar and ordered 22 shots of King Louis.
Ooh.
The 13th. Yeah, I think it was somewhere around $8 or $9 grand. So I was going to tell him that if I was going to do a video, I was actually going to apologize for that. I was in Phoenix and I was with Matty. Matt Fachuk was there also with his his organization. And so Matty had this thing. We had this thing all cooked up and how we were going to do one of them things together. And that's what I was going to say. So, but I think it's probably going to hit more people by saying on this big podcast here. So,
of course. Yeah.
But no, Mike, I'm telling you, he's the perfect human being. I mean, he did things the right way all the time and played the game the right way. Obviously, if there's anything you remember, I wish what I was going to say, I had it written out. If Maddie and I were going to do it, I was just going to make a comment about, how the statue is so appropriate, blah, blah, blah. And for me, the one last thing I would love to see is that jersey blowing in the wind behind him. And I was going to say, Mo, I think you should be out there for that one last lap. And I was hoping that they would play that like on the Jumbotron or something like that. And Mike would obviously know about it. And then when that comment was made, the lights would go down, the spotlight would go to the bench, and Mo would come out for one last skate. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I called someone that they didn't really.
Craig, that's
nothing happened.
Great idea.
I know. I thought that would be, I thought that'd be appropriate. But anyway, what I think what a lot of people always remember about Mo is, just that jersey flying in the wind behind him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, for me, that's Mo's calling card. I just think that's there should be a hockey card. There should be, maybe the statue will have the jersey blown in the wind. Maybe that's what they're going to do. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the, it's down to two, supposedly, one of him hoisting the cup and the other of the jersey flapping. So we'll see.
Yep.
What I like about it, I've mentioned this on the podcast, is that kids who might not remember the 99 Cup run will, look at that, and hopefully dads, moms will explain, and that keeps the conversation about what you guys did and what made it so special. I think that's what I like.
I thought you were going to bring up the float, where I was on the float with Pantera, but you're not. So we're still stuck on Mo, aren't we? Yeah.
No, tell me about the float on Pantera.
No. Well, Vinny and those guys had their own float.
That's amazing.
For the parade.
That really is
Don't
amazing.
you remember that?
I did not live here at the time.
Yeah.
No,
I thought you knew everything Dallas Stars.
Well, I mean, I try, Craig. I try. Yeah. But, flip side, great to see Modano bought dinner just like me buying you dinner. I mean, these things. Good to see people buying dinner.
They don't like it, but the big guys always do that for the guys. I mean,
That's
they
cool.
probably don't go to the same length. I mean, I've heard some of the quarterbacks in the NFL. My God,
Oh,
they're buying Rolexes for their whole line and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's, but again, it's a different pay schedule. But I think all of at least any of them that I've been around, that are at that stature, always did something, whether it was dinners or, different kind of things. Chelly, I've told that before, Chelly gave me a Rolex and just said, and he had it engraved on the back. On the back, it said, "Luds, thanks for staying back." So, there's classy guys, and I put Mo and Chelly and, guys like that and Nui and, all those guys. I'm telling you, I've never really, I never played with, those big dogs that were anything but. I was very lucky that way, that I've always had really good superstar players that were just as good off the ice as they were on the ice.
yeah. All right, let's talk some NHL news because I wanted to ask your opinion on this. NHL player safety came out yesterday. The Rangers' Matt Rempe, who's been the talk of the league, has been suspended for 4 games for elbowing New Jersey's Jonas Siegenthaler and had a hearing. And if you watch the hit, wow. And NHL player safety goes through it, and clearly Rempe took the elbow and stuck it out. Very, very fortunate that, Siegenthaler is not worse off because that was a direct hit to the head. So I wanted to ask you, based on what I'm about to play, because Curtis McDermott had some choice words after the game.
I knew about the hit on Bastion going into this game. First shift, I asked him. There's a bit of a code, and I thought he would have answered that, but I don't know what he was told, but he said no. And, after a hit like that, it kind of goes without saying you should answer the bell in some way and be a man about it. And then game goes on, then he throws another hit like that, gets kicked out, and possible suspension. So there's a right way to go about things and a wrong way, and I kind of lost a lot of respect for him tonight.
So 2 words or 2 phrases that stood out were answering the bell and a code.
And the code. I knew you were bringing up the code.
Yes. So please take us Spits and Suds listeners inside the code.
Well, it's very simple. If you're playing, you're that kind of player, you play that kind of game, and you put a hit on one of your teammates. The code is, you're going to fight, and that's just what it is. And I don't know if McDermott was actually anxious to fight him. But he understands the role, and the role is what he has, and that, that's not around like it used to be. But as far as Rempe goes, he's a physical guy. I watched it too, and I get it. They had to do something. He had a couple other hits. Well, one of the guys he hit, I can't remember. The guy was on his knees, and so I don't think he got anything for that. But he's not an agile player, right? If he's going in and somebody takes a step a little bit backwards or to the side, you just naturally try to get a piece of him. That's just normal. You try. Was he trying to elbow him in the head? I'm sure he's going to say no.
Yeah.
I don't think he probably was either. I think he meant to get a piece of his shoulder, because to me it looked like he was coming on. He was on the tracks, and the player who's going to hit is on the tracks. Then all of a sudden the player's not on the tracks, but you're on the tracks, and you're not it's not like Matt Naslin or Tyler Sagan or Duchesne. You know how Dookie there he can stop and go and shift and all that other kind of stuff. You're going in a straight line, and I think that he was trying to get a piece of him. I don't think he was trying to elbow him in the head, but I have no idea. But we've seen him since he's come into the league. Probably the not the happiest, but the Rangers might be happy. As far as coaches, not happy. They may be, good. Maybe, this is a way, because there was talk, after he fought Reeves, that, he doesn't need to do this every night, and he's getting tagged with a few, and he still hangs in there and throws them. But you don't want a guy having concussion problems before he's age 24, So I think they were going to try to find a way to have a conversation with him and maybe pull him back, and he doesn't need to fight every single night. And, so maybe from a front office, from a coaching staff and trainers, maybe they're thinking, Jesus, the kid's going to get dinged in his wallet. I'm sure he's not making anywhere near $7 or $8 million, but he's going to get dinged in his wallet regardless. And he's going to get his 4 games, and, come out of his paycheck, and maybe that holds him back a little bit, or maybe it's, I got to learn how to hit a little bit better. He's got a number 8 on that team of his with the Rangers that has a lot of people have thought that player has crossed the line a few times. Yep. And every time you watch him hit someone, he's not crossing the line. Arms are tucked in. He's hitting them with shoulders, so it's probably a little bit of a learning experience for him, and he'll sit there and he'll watch the tape, and I'm sure they had to go over it with him and everything else, and you'll see that little chicken wing. So, but yeah, the code is take out one of our players next shift. You got to answer for it, or at least they're hoping
next time they play, Rempe has to drop the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that clear enough for you, Gavin?
No, it was. Well,
It's not like dropping your tennis racket or like when you try to jump over your net that you probably can't get over and you slip and fall. You got to help the guy up or something.
Do you
like
know
that.
I almost got in a fight in tennis in college?
No, well, for sure. Yeah. How about pickleball? My kids fight in pickleball.
Yeah. Yeah. Competitive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe Craig should get out in the court.
Well, I've been out there with them.
I am happy to exchange skating lessons for tennis lessons.
What for tennis lessons?
Skating lessons.
I don't really need any tennis lessons. I took tennis 1 and 2 in college. Okay, I got it.
All right. Wow. Oh, seems like it's a challenge. I accept.
And racquetball, and bowling, and bicycle touring.
Wait.
Football coaching, baseball coaching.
Wait a minute. What are we saying about the University of North Dakota there?
They're smart how they keep their players around and win championships.
Oh, well, have a great time on Saturday, my friend. I know you will. I'm looking forward to, hopefully they pan on the sweet and Craig's in the background with a sweet Frosty. That'll be nice.
Yeah, I'm not a front row guy, so you probably won't see me.
I would love to be in the room to hear the stories and the chirping that goes on. And
I don't think there's going to be a lot of stories. Allie's going to be there, so his wife Allison's going to be there, and the kids and stuff like that. So there's going to be not a lot of stories going on. Right, we won't be doing that.
Best behavior. Craig Ludwig's best behavior. So
absolutely.
Thank you, my friend. You are a beast. Next time on Spits and Suds, I am going to bring up Match Game. Didn't have time to grab it today, but I have some info on Match Game that I know you're going to be interested in.
It's in the background right now. I had it paused, and I didn't realize it's already starting. And I'm looking at Minnie Pearl right now. She's laughing. She gave a good answer, I'm assuming.
Oh, man. Do you want it now, or do you want it next week?
What are you asking me? What do I want? What now?
Yeah. We recently had Brian Billick on, former head coach of the Ravens, Super Bowl winning Brian Billick. He was on Match Game. And I was going to ask you, have you seen Brian Billick's appearance on Match Game yet?
I have not. I've seen one of the pictures from the Dodgers.
Okay.
But I have not seen Brian. Now, I probably wouldn't recognize him, obviously. He may have been on there when I was watching, and they didn't say his name.
Yeah.
Being Billick or anything like that. But, I had not noticed that he's on there.
He said because at the end it would say contestants appearing on and they go through their thing, receive promotional items. He said for about 2 or 3 years on his
Plumber's crack. Plumber's crack. That's what I'm going with. First word is plum. You got your 3 choices.
Oh, my God.
What are your answers? I'm going with Plumber's crack for the $500 one. Oh, shit. It was Plumber crazy. Plum. Oh, maybe it's plum. Plum crazy. Yeah, they had plum and somebody said And then I don't know what the second was, but it was crazy with the second one.
This is the kind of in-depth Spits and Suds.
And imagine that. Richard Dawson's the guy that had the answer right again. He gets all the time. He's right. Tune in, folks.
For Craig Ludwig.
Noon on the Game Show Network. Channel 86, where I live.
Oh, my goodness. For the Game Show junkie, Craig Ludwig, I'm Gavin Spittle. Thank you for listening to another edition of Spits and Suds, Stars in Action. Tomorrow night, we'll have a post game afterwards. And then on Saturday, retiring or putting a statue for Mike Modano. We'll have full coverage of that as well. So for Craig Ludwig, I'm Gavin Spittle. Have a great day, everyone.